People who got cheated on and gave them a second chance. What happened? Before we start with the first story, please hit a subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. She did it again. Ended up divorcing me for him. A few years later, he cheated on her. Shocked Pikachu face. I'm going to add an edit since this is getting some attention. I don't blame her for leaving me, to be honest. I was a bad husband to her in a number of ways. Not abusive, just selfish. I do blame her for cheating. She should have left me, then moved on. It's only the order she did things in that was wrong. I've changed a lot as a person since then, and I'm a totally different person with my new wife. Life is good. Story 2. She didn't cheat again, as far as I know, but it was never the same again. The love, the bonding, the intimacy all seemed fake, as if something was missing. So it's better not to take a cheater back. Foundation of any relationship is trust. If that is lost, then the relationship is lost. Simple. Story 3. She took full accountability for everything, put in a ton of work to rebuild trust over the next few years, therapy, intentional acts of service, commitment to the relationship, and we eventually married and have a family. This experience is unfortunately not common, but it is possible. I stated my expectations of the relationship at the time of admission with clear boundaries. I was out if it happened again. She took it seriously, and we have been mutually supporting each other ever since. Reply. My situation right now. 5 months post-cheating. Never would have guessed it physically could have happened. But we're back and love each other stronger than we ever did, it seems. As long as I got the full truth about that night, which I'm 95% sure I do. But that 5% does eat away at me sometimes. Much less so now. I admit I was extremely emotionally weak and did not respect myself enough to not accept her back a month later. It felt like I was still in a relationship during that month, and it seemed she thought the same. If it happened any other time, I hope to God I would have just blocked her and told her to GTFO. She'd have come back sobbing as she said she did when she realized she made an awful decision. Wouldn't wish cheating on my worst enemy. It is the highest form of abuse one can be the victim of. I'd rather be physically hurt than go through that again. Break a few bones easily. But still, may the both of us continue in a cheaterless way. Story 4. We were engaged. I found myself being unable to trust her, to the point where it was starting to drive me to paranoia. Eventually broke off our engagement a week before we were set to get married. Found out she cheated on me again, and after the breakup started dating the guy she cheated on me with. She then created a social media channel on how to be a hoe and juggle multiple guys. Pretty sure I was one of the multiple guys she was juggling. I dodged a freaking nuke. Story 5. I was the cheater and my significant other gave me a second chance. It's been 15 years since that day. We've been married for 10 years, have a beautiful son and 2 cats now. I regretted what I did and called her crying almost immediately after I cheated. I've worked at being a better person ever since, and I'm thankful she gave me a second chance. I'm incredibly lucky to have her. Story 6. It happened again, and again. Again. I realized he was never truly sorry. Each time he just got better at hiding it, and would then try to blame it on me whenever he would inevitably get caught again. It's so weird, BC. I always expressed if he wanted to be single, just say that. There are those rare exceptions of those who really do change after cheating, but most just become repeat offenders. Story 7. She tried really hard to make things better, but it all felt hollow. It kind of felt like, why didn't you put this level of effort into the relationship rather than cheating? Everything would have been better and I would have felt far more loved and appreciated. But instead it felt disingenuous, and I broke up with her soon after. She ultimately got back with the guy who cheated on her and then tried to cheat with him by getting with me, which I declined. He also turned out to be very abusive. They had a kid together to try and fix the relationship, and I haven't heard anything else since. Story 8. Well, I mean, if anyone's curious and isn't going downvote me into oblivion, I am 100% a cheater. I cheated in my marriage, and it quite literally ruined everything. My wife was a sweet, kind person who forgave me, but nothing was ever the same. I gave her access to literally everything, and it kept me on the straight and narrow for a very long time. That being said, it's always there, the temptation never goes away. It's like there's a shadow of my personality that tries to whisper in my ear whenever it feels. There's even a remote opportunity to get away with it. Went to therapy for sex addiction, but it's still there and it's still a thing. So I will 100% always vouch for the fact that if someone cheated on you once, they may not necessarily cheat on you again. But the thought is always going to be there, and it's going to be much easier the second time. Hope my inner demons could shed some light on that. Story 9. Long-distance boyfriend cheated on me with his sister's 15-year-old friend. He was 21. I forgave him and paid for him to move to Florida with me. A week after he moved in with me, she called saying she was pregnant. He packed his bags and left me to go be with her. Turned out she lied and was not pregnant. One of the hardest times in my life, but I definitely learned a lot from it. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Story 10. He initiated a breakup because the lack of trust started eating me up. The relationship begun to feel like a losing battle. Months later, he recontacted, admitting that he effed up big time, regretted the breakup and how I was treated. We are not talking anymore, as I told him to stay the EF away after he last canceled on a meetup that he initiated. He unfollowed me on Instagram and came across his Bumble profile about a month ago. Safe to say we both moved on. Story 11. She cheated on me in January of last year, got back together in March. Quickly engaged again. I loved her so much. She left me a week after our 1-year anniversary in September and married the guy she told me not to worry about 3 weeks after leaving me. I'm still not emotionally or mentally healed. Story 12. It happened again. Then with another guy went back. After he called it off, then he wanted it back on. He called it off due to stress and me asking so much where we at, and said it's none of my business if he sleeps with anyone else. So no more second chances for anyone. Period. Story 13. I got cheated on and forgave my partner. We have now been together for over 10 years without incident. I have access to everything, location, all passwords, the works. It never happened again. Either they got hella good at hiding it, or they really did change. Reply. Listen to all these people tell you they know your relationship better than you do. I wonder how many of the people psychoanalyzing you are in happy relationships themselves. Story 14. Yup, happened to me. I was dating a girl for almost 4 years, HS, and then college GF. Thought I was going to marry her. She was in nursing school and would hang out with her nursing pals after a tough midterm to bars or dinner. No issues for me. I trusted her. She went out to a bar to meet up with my girl cousins and their friends. Same class and friend group. And they caught my GF at the making out with one of their classmates, some dude with a kid and a fiance. I wasn't at the bar because I wasn't 21 yet, and I figured she would call me to pick her up after, or hitch a ride with my cousins. My GF at the time told me what she did, and my cousins did take her home but told her the next day that if she didn't tell me what happened, they would do it. I thought I was going to marry this girl. I went through it all and took her back. She didn't apologize for what she did. She just told me, I don't regret what I did. It's my life kind of attitude. She just became distant and broke it off with me maybe less than 2 months later. In those 2 months, nothing was the same. I developed low self-esteem, lost my self-respect, had crippling anxiety whenever she didn't answer my calls, texts. After she broke up with me, she told me she just wanted to live her life and be free. A few months later, she ended up dating the bartender guy where she used to go out with her other friends. Weird shit. I went into a depression for a few months, dropped out of school, gained weight, had a lot of trust issues. Eventually, I turned my life around. After a couple relationships, some flings, changed some habits, I felt I was able to overcome a lot of those feelings and resentments. But it honestly took a very, very long time for someone like me. It wasn't easy. I am married now with the love of my life in my 2nd year of marriage. Got my master's by going to school and supporting myself by working multiple jobs. I've seen my ex at my cousin's birthdays once in a while. She greets my family members, tells them how much she misses them and how they're still family to her, and avoids eye contact with me and my wife. But definitely, my sweetest joy was at my cousin's wedding where I was just hanging by my table because I am a wallflower. Saw my ex hugging my relatives and being all gushy, which made me feel kinda awkward. My fiancé, we got married a few months later, took my hand on the dance floor and slow danced with me. I hate dancing, but at that moment, I saw my ex just sitting on my seat, just watching me dance with my soon-to-be wife. She looked so pale. She even picked up my nephew, 2 years old, and tried to dance with him next to me for my attention. My now wife just told me, "It's okay, just dance with me." And man, all that pain, resentment, awkwardness just melted away. I remember the night before my wedding, I just reflected about all the hardships I went through, insecurities, and all that. To be with someone that really just holds you down is best feeling in the world. I was so thankful for my wife. She changed my world. I do hope you find happiness after an experience like this. If anything, just work on yourself and you will attract the right people. Story 15. For the first week after finding out about my wife's affair, I went and stayed with a work friend. Good dude. Her affair had ended over a year prior to me finding out, and her fling had long since moved away. I moved back home after a week, and I didn't give her the silent treatment, but mostly kept to myself and was still deciding on how to proceed with my life when she had her first manic episode. She ended up in the hospital for 6 months and diagnosed bipolar 2, and I felt so stuck. She needed me, but I was still processing the betrayal. No one in our life knew about the affair except my one work friend. And I knew how I would be labeled by all our loved ones if I decided to tell the truth and leave when she needed me the most. In sickness and in health, right? Her road to wellness was a long and winding one, and 6 years later, she was in a healthy enough spot where I felt comfortable bringing up a divorce. We split amicably and remained friendly, and still watch each other dogs once in a while 10 years later. She has battled her illness consistently and has not had any luck with men due to it. They either meet her during a manic phase and can't handle the depression, or meet her during a depressive episode and are shocked to the core when the party begins. I have since found my soulmate and am happily married. 'Twas a long journey, but worth every step. All right, folks, that's a wrap. If you like more of this, please hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below. I'll see you in the next video.